All right, folks, we are going to resume. I'm going to be teaching for another full hour, and then at 9 o'clock, I'm going to catch everyone up who's missing documents that they didn't receive, or ask questions on their work, or technique questions. So don't worry, we'll get everything covered. It's all going to come out perfectly. Okay? All right, so while you were not watching, I changed a couple things. I changed the name of my event to the 12th Annual Movement Marathon, and the subtitle is A Dance Benefit for Muscular Dystrophy, and it's going to be held at Destiny Arts, and it's going to be August 19th from noon to midnight at this address. Here is a sponsor. Here is another sponsor. I'm going to save the file again. So I'm going to go over the steps to placing a logo or an element such as a photo. It is file place. And I'm navigating to my folder here. I'm going to grab another icon and click and drag this out. Okay. All right, so if you don't have a logo that you need, I already have them in my drive, so that makes it pretty obvious and easy what to do. But if you don't have one of the things that you need, you can likely find it online. So we're going to have Odwalla be a sponsor. I'm going to go to Images. There's the Odwalla logo. Kind of like this one better. I'm going to control it and do Save Image As and save. Okay. Now it's on my desktop, and I'll toggle back over to Illustrator, and I will go File, Place, and from the desktop, here's my Odwalla logo, and I will click Place, and I'll click and drag to make it whatever size that it is that I clicked and dragged for it to be. So here's one sponsor, two sponsors, three sponsors. I'm going to do one more sponsor. It's going to be Cliff Bars. So here I'll search for Cliff Bar. I kind of like this one, so Save Image As. And watch out, this is a good one because it's actually showing me something that's could be problematic that you should see. Sometimes when you want to save something, it has a generic name such as this. It's showing me that it's index.png, which is probably not a good name for anything. Cliff logo. So if you see these generic names for things, change them so that you know what it is that you're saving. So that's Cliff logo. And I'll get a couple of other things here. I'll get a Facebook logo. Okay. This one. Save Image As. And again, it's giving me this silly name here. FB logo. And I'm saving it to my desktop. I'll crank over here again. And I'll go File, Place, Reading is Fundamental, and there is my Facebook logo. And I'll click and drag to set that down there. Oh, I also want to put in my Cliff Bar logo. So File, Place, And here is my Cliff Bar logo, place. Now, it's likely that an event like this will probably have more sponsors. That's not a Cliff Bar logo. But I'm not going to overdo it with these because it's going to take a fair enough time to kind of explain some of the concepts that I'm designing into. All right, so I feel like I have enough elements. One more thing that I would likely need is a photo. And I'm going to get a photo of a dance marathon. I should be searching CC search. And here's what I need, dance marathon. This used to be like, you know, a big thing they used to do in the 30s and 40s, dance marathons. I don't know if it's legal anymore, but seems like a good thing to do. And I want something in color, and I want something fun, and I don't want to have to deal with any kind of weird copyright infringement issues in my logo, in my poster. So I'm going to pick something old and funny. All right, so this is kind of small, but the bigger ones, there we go. All right, I'm not so keen on that because they're just all white people, and I can't do that. So I should think about that. I don't know what I'm going to find here, but it's worth trying. Anything? And again, I am searching CC search, so it could be tricky. I might have to go with something, a little bit more abstract. I just want something that feels like people would care about it. All right. This is actually, as I'm looking at these photos, it's giving me some other ideas for some content that I might want in my poster, such as teams are forming. Like you might have a dance marathon team thing. All right, I'm going to use these silly people anyway because these are the people. All right, so I'm going to do save image as and dance marathon blah blah blah. And I'll put the word dance at the front. All right, great. Save that. Now, I am going to place that in Illustrator, but I'm also going to treat it in Photoshop. So I'm going to do a place. And this is what it's going to look like initially. It's going to be way too small. I'm going to have to deal with it in Photoshop. For now, I'm going to press S to scale it. And I'm going to click on one corner and come over towards the other corner, holding the Shift key down. And maybe I'll have something worth playing with here. Yeah, I actually think this might work. Okay, so that's a black and white version of what it is I want to do. So all these things are kind of set around the actual poster that I'm designing. Now, all of the things I think I need are on the poster. Maybe a couple other comments, such as teams are forming now. And then a fake phone number, or actually a fake URL. Sign up at and then www.destinymarathon.org. Okay. Everything is safe. Now, you may be wondering when are you going to start talking about the grid? I'm now going to start talking about the grid. I'm also going to show you a couple of other tricks to making a grid easier and quicker. In Illustrator, we have Rulers, Command R will bring up our rulers. Okay, there they are, rulers. Top ruler, left ruler. I'm going to use ruler guides to set down my 6-column grid. I'm an extremely visual person, and being a designer for so many years, I have a lot of little weird tricks that I do to make certain things easier and faster for myself. So I'm going to be creating a 6-column grid that I can be very flexible with where I place things. And I also want a margin. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by creating one box, and this is a box with, now it's going to have a fill of white. I actually want it to have a fill. It'll be easier to select if it has a fill, and a stroke of black. And this box, there's now one of them. Probably made it a little too big, so I'm going to squish it. That's now squished. One, and I'm going to make a second one, and it's going to snap right to the edge of the first one. As I drag it across, I'm holding the Option key and the Shift key. Take a nice deep breath. Just try to relax and watch this. I am recording it, so you can watch it again. Right, so there's 2 of them. Now I'm going to go Command D, which is transform again. If you look under Edit, you'll see here it says Undo Transform. If you look under Object, it shows Transform, Transform again. So that's what I'm doing. Command D, transform again. 4, 5, 6. Now I have 6 of them. I'm going to take them all, just them, nothing else but them, and I'm going to place them at the center. How do I know it's at the center? I have a smart guide. That green line is showing me I'm at the center. Okay, and I'm going to scale them all. Since they are all selected, I'm going to move them over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or Shift 10, Shift 10, Shift 10. When I do Shift left arrow, it's moving things 10 pixels at a time. And I'm going to move this over like that. Okay. I'm going to take it away and move it back. And now I want to make sure I'm on center. I am on center, and I'm now letting go. So now what I can do is I can use the ruler guides to drag out. You can see how faint they are. Can you see them though? Okay. My guides, and place them where I need them to be. Now the settings for the guides, I did talk about this, I believe last time we looked at preferences. Right now my guides are not locked, and they're also really faint. I feel like they're too faint. So I'm going to go Command K, and that's going to open up my preferences. And we're going to go to Guides and Grid. And here are my style dots. I'm going to make them lines, and now I can see them better, and you can see them better. Better? Keep breathing. Don't worry about anything right now. Just relax and enjoy the demo, okay? So I'm dropping down the guides for the columns. Now I want to have a margin, so I need to remember that I put the margin there. These are the margins right there. I don't want anything text-wise to be outside of those margins. The photos can drop outside of the margins, but nothing else can. And then also we want to go to View, Guides, and I am locking the guides. So now when I select the boxes, I can delete them without deleting the guides, except I forgot one of the guides. So I undid, Command Z. Now I'm putting a guide in there, and now I'm deleting. Life is good. Okay. Now that I have that, I'm going to start roughly arranging the text. Okay, so there's the 6 wonderful guidelines, and I'm going to start dropping the text elements where I think generally I want them to be. And this should be at Destiny Arts Center. Excuse me. And I'm not really caring right now where these things go exactly, just generally placing them. Some of these items, which are currently all using align left, I'll be switching their alignment. I know I'm going to want the logo down here, and I know I'm going to, in general, probably want the sponsors over here. I can tell they're going to probably be too big. And yeah, okay. So very loose, okay? All right. And Cliff, oh my God, I almost forgot you, Cliff. I'm so sorry. Let's get this Destiny logo up here for now. All right. The sponsors should all have an equal weight. So this is an easy thing to do. I'm going to get this done right away. I want the spices. I want the sponsors to all, they're spicy sponsors. I want them all to be on the same row, or basically, within the same area. And I can tell they do not have a sense of equality to them at all. So when you're working with a grid, such as a 6-column grid, you have options. And your options are, you can work with this as if it's a 3-column grid. You can work with this as if it is a 2-column grid. And you can break these up. This is the most flexible grid for even number grids. You can break these up into one section, or one section of lines that traverses 2 columns and then 4 columns. And as I do this, hopefully it'll start making a little bit more sense. So this is how I learned it. I learned it by watching, and I'll tell you, most of the things that I've learned are by watching other people do it and just trying it myself. So I'm going to scale this Odwalla logo so it's a little bit smaller. And the Cliff Bar logo is way too big. So regular selection tool, clicking on the Cliff Bar logo, pressing S for scale. This is the scale tool right over here. I'm pointing at it now. And I'm going to click and shift and drag. So I'm scaling that in proportion. Now I feel like everything is more in proportion and that my people are going to be happy with that. But I will guarantee you this is not going to fit across the 6 columns. Once I have everything sized proportionately, I think this one should go smaller too. What do you think? All right, so S for scale, and click and shift and drag, and I'm going to just make that a little smaller. And now Cliff feels like Cliff should go smaller. So if I select Cliff and I go Command D, it'll make it smaller because that's transform again. The last thing I did was a scale. This one should be smaller. All right, what do you think now? More equal? I know that Odwalla boy is taking up a lot of space. Okay, so now I'm going to get the spacing in between them. I'm going to eyeball it to how I like it to be. I'm squinting my eyes. That's a very advanced technique. Squinting. Okay, squinting. Squint technique is there. Now, I'll select them all. I'll move it. I can see I have the text here. Shift select, so that gets unselected. I'm going to move it also. Cliff comes to the left edge. Press S for scale, and I'm going to click on the upper left-hand corner of Cliff and click holding the shift key down. I'm scaling these all together so they stay within the same proportions and lining this up across. So I'm now using my grid to traverse all 4 columns. I feel like I can move Cal Arts Council over a little, and that's good. So now I'm going to select them all, and for the sake of ease for later on, I can always undo this, but I'm going to make it a group. So if I do decide to move them, they'll move together. So there's the group. Now, this Facebook situation, I'm not sure what to do with that, so I'm going to put it over here and come back to that later because it's bothering me. All right, now we need to start dealing with the fonts. Now, I know you're going to be designing with your mood board in mind, so I'm going to go ahead and open up my mood board. Command O, and I have my mood board. Mood. Space Art Mood Board. Space Art Mood Board. There it is. Life is good. All right. So these are the typefaces, and these are the colors that I'm using. These are my mood board things. I love you, mood board. So I'm going to select all, Command A, and copy, Command C. Select all, Command A, copy, Command C. Now I'm going to close it. And I'm going to come over here to my pasteboard, paste it, Command V, and those are all those little weird little gray blocker things I used, which I did apparently make a group out of it, so when I'm deleting it, see, everything is going away. And this is the direct selection tool. I'm sure I talked about this last week, but just to re-inform you, that is the white arrow tool, and I'm just deleting these gray bits. All right, now a couple of tricks for quickly applying the type. Let's see how this goes. I am going to take the text tool and triple click my headline. I know this is going to be wacky at first, but it'll save time in the long run. Then I'm going to go to the eyedropper tool and come over and mouse on top of, cursor on top of the space text. You can see it's getting a little T to it, next to it. And when I click on it, ooh ah, now I've applied the type. So that's another reason why the mood board will help you speed up your process. Next, I told you about the little red box, and I told you about that because I knew it was going to have an impact here. So a 12th annual movement marathon does not look so good on 2-3 lines. So I'm going to select the movement marathon text and come over to the size box, and I'm going to use the down arrow with the shift key. The shift key is making the text 10 pixels, 10 points at a time smaller. And now the main part of the headline is at 133 points. It's just a weird size. I don't want to do some weirdo size like that. 113 points. I want to round that up to, 114 points. It's much more respectable. And marathon looks funny because the Destiny Arts logo is blocking it. Okay. All right. Now, as you can see, I've already used up 25 minutes. So what I'm saying here, or trying to say, is this is going to take you some time. I've done it before. And it's taking me some time. Of course, I'm talking at the same time, and that does slow me down a little bit. But a couple of important things. Now, I'm going to get this dance benefit type out of the way, because here's why. I'm going to take the zoom tool, Z for zoom, or magnifying glass. Take a breath, everyone. You're doing great. I know some people are nervous about their work. I am going to give you all the love you need. Okay? So just stay in there. Hang in there. Okay? So I'm looking at my text because I want to teach you a couple of fine points. I may not actually get the poster done, but you'll get a very strong idea of what to expect. So what I'm looking at now are the negative spaces between the text, between the letters themselves. I have some things that are not working so well. Annual does have 2 N's, doesn't it? It looks funny. Sometimes you look at words and you're like, is that spelled right, or have I lost my mind? All right, so this is not a pay typeface. This is a free typeface, and it's an awesome typeface, but it is not designed for professional use. It has bad kerning pairs. It has a lack of spacing between some of the letters where it really needs them. And look at the space here between some of these letters. Like between the U and A is greater space than between these 2 N's. So one way we can try and deal with this, it may probably not help, but I'm going to do it anyway, is over here I have these 2 values. One is for kerning, which is in between 2 individual characters. I really can't use that right now because I'm not clicked between 2 characters. And I have this other guy over here, which is tracking, which is space across an entire word or number of words. And this is the one I'm going to use. I'm going to set this to 10. And it's actually 10 points. When I hit return, it's kind of opened up the spacing between the letters a little bit, but it didn't really help fix some of these problems that are already there, such as the spacing between the ends. So here I've clicked between the two ends, and I'm going to click in this, which is the kerning field, and I'm going to hold the shift key down and use the up arrow. Now that looks better. I need to do the same thing between the N and the U, clicking in the field, up arrow, and you're looking at the spacing between the letters and trying to get them to feel more even. So this one I'm going to take it down a little, and that looks better. I always think of my professor from Parsons School of Design when I do this. Margie Adams. She used to drink a beer while she taught our class. I thought that was just so inappropriate. I was 21. I thought that was inappropriate. I'm like, what? I don't drink. What are you drinking for? Shut up, Abigail. All right, so 30. I'm putting 30 on that for tracking. I feel like this could use more tracking, so I'm going to shift arrow up. A movement marathon. I kind of want that to come from edge to edge. I'm not sure why. I might change my mind. All right, that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to increase the size of this. Oh, see these bad gaps? Bad gap. Bad. That is not a good gap. So here we don't want these gaps to be all uneven like that. So we have to track that one down or kern that one down. So you want to stay with your type. You want to look at it and love it. You have to give it the attention, because this is what distinguishes a professional looking work from an amateur looking work, is attention to detail. So I'm looking M-O-O-V, that looks a little crowded compared to that. V-E looks okay, so I'll increase this one. Back up again. And E-N-T, the T, yeah. And and this one's got to go down. Once I get it right, you'll see here what I'm going to do. Come back here. This has got to be lower. So if you're wondering, do you have to do all this? Yes. Yes, you do. You want to, right? All right, let's click here. It's almost there. Marathon. O-N and O. This looks a little gappy to me. Down arrow. And down arrow. I'm going to increase the size of 12 annual by clicking in the size field and using the up arrow. And eventually it will come out just almost to the N, like so. And I want to use the entire width of the page without the margin, or not including the margin. So I'm going to select the text again. I'm going to go to the scale tool, which is by pressing S or picking this tool. And I'm going to click on the corner so it stays anchored at that corner. Click near this end, hold the shift key and drag down until it comes out to the line. So now my type is tracked and kerned and sized and fitting the way I want it to. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pause, or actually I'm going to go